Okay, so today is day one of poetry, and we are going to kind of dive right into this. The first thing that we are going to do is watch a vocabulary on what poetry really is.
Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility.
Wordsworth!
Yes?
Thanks for the intro. We'll take it from here.
What's going on?
What's poetry? Here's what I found. It's when you're written and spitting words for the meaning and sound. Poems, they pack an emotional punch, whether a haiku, a sonnet, or a limerick for fun. Some poetry has a super strict form, but it could be formless and be a super slick poem. A poem written in verse, you'll find most have meter and many have rhyme. What's prose? It's the opposite of poetry, the straightforward, like a newspaper story. See, prose has rules to be grammatical, but with poems, rules go more sabbatical. You can do whatever you dream, cool runnings, and drop capitals like E.E. Cummings, and break grammatical rules with abandon. Tell Keats and Yeats they're coming for the canon.
Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable. Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable. Also, figurative language, the choice is yours. And like umpires, now you know the score. Figurative language goes beyond literal meaning, uses similes and metaphors and even appealing to the five senses. That's imagery. Now let's compare prose to some poetry. Fog appeared in the harbor and city. That's some pretty simple prose. You get me? Paul Sandburg's poem has figures of speech. The fog comes on, little cat feet. That's a metaphor about the paws of a kitty who sits looking over the harbor and city. Now fog doesn't really look because it's not alive, but the poet got creative. He personified Sandberg's expressive language shines. So read and write poems, it'll blow your mind. Let's do poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable. Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable.
Poets often use a sound device, like rhyming when some words sound alike. You can use a rhyme in a rhyme scheme that's a pattern of rhymes at the end of each line. See, it could be A B A B or A A B B or many others, do you see? But you don't have to rhyme in your composition. You can write in free verse. See what I did there? Alliteration is another sound device. Just repeat first consonants. That'll sound nice, like rise up for you, the flag is flown. Some alliteration from Walt Whitman. And lastly, let's hit up onomatopoeia when the sound of a word gets the clue about its meaning. Rumble and rattle sound like echoes from a yell. Like rumble through the valley, get rattled in the dell.
Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable. Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable.
Impressive. It occurs to me, your rap songs could be considered poetry. Striking resemblances. Well, with that, I must bid you adieu and return to the netherworld.
Okay, so right before we left for spring break, you guys were doing a lot of things with figurative language, and that was to get us prepared for this poetry unit. So you're going to see this figurative language pop up again and again. And if there were some that you weren't sure of, it's okay. We're going to continue to review them. Something I really like about poetry is it kind of reminds me of what we do on Tune Tuesdays, where you are analyzing songs. And if you think about it, a song is just a poem written to a beat. So it kind of makes it a little easier to analyze poetry when you look at it in that way. So for poetry, we're going to talk a little bit today about the structure of poetry. And when we think of like text structure and we think of the structure of a building, it's just how something is laid out. So poetry is written in stanzas. Stanzas are just how the poem is arranged, and it kind of reminds me of a paragraph, the way that they break it down. So it's broken into lines. Each little stanza there has all these different lines in it, but they don't need to be full sentences, which sometimes throws people off. So there's a couple of different forms of stanzas. There's more than just this, but I'm just going to share a few with you. So we have something called a couplet. If you look at this word, couplet, you have the word couple in there. And a couple means two. So a couplet is two lines when they're written together. So you have a group of two lines and then another group of two lines. And then we have a triplet, or sometimes also known as a tercet. We have the word triple in here. So that is 3 lines. So it's when the poem is written in groups of 3 lines for each stanza. And then the next one, you probably guessed it, is a quatrain. We know that the prefix quad, or quad here, is going to mean 4, like a quadrilateral. So that's 4 lines when 4 lines are all grouped together. Okay, so that's something that you can just keep in mind as we're doing poetry. You might see that pop up, like in what couplet and what triplet. Okay, but today our main focus is going to be rhyme scheme. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about what rhyme scheme is. The vocabulary video did introduce that for us. So the rhyme scheme is the pattern at the end of each line of a poem. And we write this as letters, A, B, C, D. So in this first poem that we have, it's one of my favorite poems. It says, "I cannot go to school today," said little Peggy Ann McKay. "I have the measles and the mumps, a gash, a rash, and purple bumps." So what I want to do is I want to think about the end of each line and where the rhyme is happening. So when I'm looking, I have the word today, and I can see that that rhymes with McKay. So I'm going to call those A, right? Because those both rhyme with each other. And then I see I have the word mumps and the word bumps, and those rhyme with each other, so it's going to be B, B. So this type of poem would be called an AABB poem. So for the next poem, we have, "This boat that we built is just fine, and don't try to tell us it's not. The sides and the back are divine. It's the bottom, I guess we forgot." So when I look at this poem and I'm trying to find what is rhyming at the end here, I see fine. Okay, and I'm going to call that A here. Now I need to see if there's something that rhymes with fine. Oh, yep, divine. So I'm going to call that an A as well. Now let's look at the end here. I have not. I'm going to call that a B, and then forgot, and that's a B. So that makes this poem A, B, A, B. Okay, and then the last example, "The sun did not shine, it was too wet to play. So we sat in the house all that cold, cold, wet day." Kind of reminds me of today with all this crazy rainy weather. Okay, so I'm looking, and the first word I see here, shine. So keep in mind, we always want to start with that first line. That's always going to be the one that's going to get A. So the sun did not shine. So shine, do I see anything that rhymes with shine? Play, house, day. No, so shine's going to get A on its own. And now I'm going to go to the next line and say play. Okay, and I know that that is going to be a B. Is there anything that rhymes with play? House doesn't. Day. So day is also going to get a B. And now the last word that I have here is house. That doesn't rhyme with anything, so that's going to be called C, which makes this last poem A, B, C, B. Okay, so this is what you are going to practice with today. On your own, you're going to get to practice this on a Google form. Okay, keep in mind though, if there is no rhyme scheme to a poem, it's called a free verse. You won't see any free verses today on the examples that I'm giving you, but just so you know what that is. So you've probably heard people using free verse before, or maybe you've written a poem free verse before where there is no rhyme scheme. today, all of the poems that you see will have a rhyme scheme. Okay, so when you move on, you are going to be clicking where it says part 3 in today's schedule. And you have a form that you're going to fill out, and you're just going to try out some different rhyme schemes. Try to figure out those rhyme schemes on 5 different poems. Right? If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave a comment in Classroom. I have Luna climbing on me right now. Don't hesitate to leave a comment on Classroom or to shoot me an email. And we can always do a Google Hangout to go over this again. Okay? And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.